Hey everyone, Bridget over here. This is a video of me giving my patient some lifting threads. It is actually her first time, so we are very excited here. We are going to be doing the 3-vector lift along like her cheek area, and then also one along her jawline to really help pull that jowl, nasolabial fold, and marionette line up. I did choose the barbed threads, the 19 gauge by 100 millimeter, because I just thought with her tissue being, pretty average, I thought we would get a really great lift with that. Obviously, every patient is different, so we were really just trying to lift everything here on her skin and overall help her skin laxity. Essentially, what these threads do is they break down and then create collagen in its place. As you saw a little bit earlier, I was just numbing with some 2% lidocaine right at my insertion site. And now we're going to actually be going in with a blunt tip cannula. So I'm going to be creating almost little tracks for where my threads will be placed. And then when we pull this cannula out, we are actually going to insert some more lidocaine just so that she's really nice and numb and very comfortable. I used an 18 gauge needle so that I'm able to fit this cannula nicely and be able to get those threads in pretty easily. So now, as you can see, I'm going in with our thread, making sure to always be checking my depth. I actually check it almost every millimeter or two just to make sure I'm, in the right depth. It's not going to be too superficial, so I'm not going to be seeing that thread. I really want to make sure it's placed in the right plane. I'm just going to continue down my first vector. I'm going to make sure to not pull back on the thread once I start advancing it, because then it can engage the thread before we want it to. So I'm just finishing up here. I'm going right past that nasolabial fold line so that I'm able to really exaggerate that up when I pull back on my thread and really get that nice lift. As you can see, the thread is kind of just catching on that nasolabial fold, and I really don't want to be too superficial. So my little helper, Sid, is helping me. She's another RN here at the training center. So we successfully got that through and ended up where we want to. So now I'm really just going to be pulling on that thread and exaggerating that skin up to really get a nice lift. And look how much her nasolabial fold has already improved from that one thread. I am just continuing along here. This second vector is really going to help with the oral commissure and marionette line area. So I'm going to, again, be checking my depth every couple millimeters to make sure I'm staying in that plane, especially because I chose the sharp tipped threads. I don't have a blunt tip on this end. So I really want to make sure I'm staying in that plane so that the needle isn't diving and making me too deep or too superficial. So once I get past that marionette line area, I'm going to be exaggerating the skin, pulling back, and really getting that great lift that we're looking for. And look how amazing the corner of her mouth looks. The bottom face is already improved from what it was. This area is the biggest concern for most people. She has some grandkids now, so she's really focusing on her lower face, and that jowl area has always really bothered her for the past few years. So that is what this third vector is targeting, is that lower jowl area. One landmark that I do like to find on all my patients getting lifting threads is that antegonial notch where the facial artery is coming through. We just want to make sure we try not to hit that, or else the patient's going to have a huge hematoma right there. I am now starting on the last thread here, so going in with my 18 gauge needle, really creating a good starting point for when I put my cannula in. So as you can see, now is going the blunt tip cannula. We have a little bit of lidocaine in there, just like we did in the upper face. And this is really going to help that lower marionette line and help sharpen that jaw. And I always obviously educate my patients beforehand, and I tell them that swelling and bruising is very common. And I do say that there is a risk if we hit the facial artery that there would be a hematoma there. So she is well aware of that. And obviously the result is more than worth it. So she is very excited. So I'm going to continue along with my sharp tip 19 gauge by 100 millimeter thread here. So once I get past that marionette line area, again, I'm going to pull back, really exaggerate, and pull my cannula out. The last thing we are going to do here is we're going to trim the threads. So we are going to pull back on these threads, really creating them tight to the skin because I don't want any thread visible. I really want it to slip under the skin and her to be home with no complications. So we're just going to trim these. They'll slip right back under where my pilot hole was, so they will integrate into the skin. And once we go ahead and trim these, we're going to kind of almost be massaging the thread into the tissue. We'll do this with some gauze, as you'll see here in a second. We kind of use a mixture of arnica and gauze, and we rub bidirectionally and really create, that integration between the tissue and the thread, and you can almost feel it, and the patient can hear it and feel it as well. The AAFE teaches an amazing lifting, smooth thread classes and also all other injectables. So if you are interested, reach out to us and we can get you signed up. So thanks again so much for watching.